Hi, thanks for joining in. My name is Basha and welcome to my channel. I have been battling an awful cold this week and I look absolutely dreadful and drained. And so for today's video I will stay off the camera. But about last week I've made a video about how I grow and care for my cymbidiums. And a viewer of mine has reached out and asked me to make a video on East Asian cymbidiums, species cymbidiums. So I have done a little research and I have collated it all, and I would like to present that to you in this video. I hope you enjoy. There is a very little information on how to grow Asian cymbidiums in English. So I have done my research and I came across a presentation by Mr. Michael Hwang I made a few years back. It was a very long presentation, so I took all the details of that and collated them and made it into simple to understand. I have also reached out and spoke to some Asian growers, and they gave me some pointers on how to grow the cymbidiums. And the cymbidiums that I would like to cover in today's video are Ensipholium, Cyanse, and Goringii. To understand how to grow Asian cymbidiums, we have to look at the natural habitat and where they were found. So Mr. Michael Hwang has separated Asian cymbidium into two zones. And you have this beautiful graph and beautiful map provided by him. And he says that there are cymbidiums in the temperate zone, which is Cymbidium goringii, for example, where it's a cool to warm growing cymbidium with a temperatures ranging between 0 Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. Then you've got subtropical zone, which is Cymbidium ensipholium, which is intermediate to warm growing cymbidium with a temperature range between 15 degrees to 30 degrees Celsius, and Cynense, which is also subtropical, but it's a cool to warm growing cymbidium with temperatures between 10 and 30 degrees Celsius. Asian cymbidiums are seasonal orchids, meaning the conditions like water, light, and temperature are adjusted according to 4 seasons, which are very distinct in Asian countries. The common misconception is that Asian cymbidiums are cold growers. That is simply not true. Asian summers are long, hot, and humid. The day temperatures are consistent at 30 degrees Celsius for more than 3 months. So in the summer, all cymbidiums require between 25 and 30 degrees Celsius. Spring and fall, they require between 17 and 20 degrees Celsius. In the winter, Cymbidium ensipholium requires between 15 and 17 degrees Celsius. Cymbidium cynense requires between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius. And Cymbidium goringii requires between 0 and 10 degrees Celsius. So as you can see, the temperatures in the winter vary from species to species. Now this is very important for bud and flower formation. According to Mr. Michael Hwang, it is required to grow cymbidiums outside as much as possible due to humidity requirements, which is between 50 and 70% at all times. Watering, it's quite specific as well. You water when the top layer of the substrate is dry, but you never let the substrate to fully dry out. And depending on the season, watering should be done at different times of the day. So for example, in the summer, the watering should be done in the evening when the temperatures dropped a little bit. And in the winter, the watering should be done in the middle of the day when the temperatures are at the highest. Asian cymbidiums are all terrestrial orchids, and Asian growers are very specific when it comes to potting mix. It should be a mixture of hard Kanuma, baked Akadama, and Satsuma. and the ratio of those three components has to be spot on to maintain the right aeration and moisture in a pot, and also the right pH, which should be between 5.5 and 6.5, never lower and never higher than that. Unfortunately, Mr. Michael Hwang wasn't able to provide the right ratio because he buys a ready-made mix from Japan and Vietnam. For myself, as a Western grower, I cannot find this potting mix here in Europe. So what I do, I use bonsai mix. And this is the closest one that I can get to original Asian cymbidium mix. When potting Asian cymbidiums, you have to ensure that pseudobulbs are buried 30 to 50% in a substrate. This is to prevent water loss. This is also something that is very unnatural to us Western growers, because we were always taught not to ever bury a pseudobulb. Now, fertilizers are only available in Vietnam and Japan, and they're specifically made for Asian cymbidiums. They are slow-release fertilizers. I don't have, unfortunately, a composition of those fertilizers. How I do, I fertilize my cymbidiums with an orchid fertilizer. I use 1/4 of the strength, and I fertilize every 2 weeks. I don't know if this is correct way, but this is how I do it, because obviously I don't have the access to Asian markets to get the right fertilizer. New growth on cymbidiums typically start between March and April, and the 70 or up to 80% are finished by November, but it takes each growth 2 years to mature, and they will only flower from mature pseudobulbs. Blooming depends on the species. For example, Ensipholium will flower between May and September, Sinense between December and March, and Goringii between mid-February and mid-April. So obviously those are variations between the species. So as you can see, I have collated all those informations to make it a lot easier to digest. I made this video a lot shorter than original presentation of Mr. Michael Hwang was, but obviously I do invite you to see the original video from Mr. Michael Hwang, where he goes more into depth about the culture, about the meaning of orchid cymbidium in Asian culture. I have found this all absolutely fascinating, and I hope you did too. And I also have found that I'm growing my cymbidiums, my Asian cymbidiums, the wrong way, so I will be rectifying that in the coming weeks. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!